Most Americans don't know that more than 2 decades ago, the full retirement age for Social Security was no longer 65. Depending on your year of birth, you don't reach full retirement age until you're 67. And if some members of Congress get what they want, the retirement age can climb to 69. For 40 years, the Social Security retirement age has climbed so slowly that most people have never noticed. Powerful voices in Washington now want to accelerate that process. And what that means for your monthly checks is something every retiring American needs to understand. When Franklin Roosevelt signed the Social Security Act on August 14, 1935, the arrangement was simple. You work, you pay, and you get full benefits at 65. The number has stabilized for nearly 50 years and has not been touched. Congress introduced the early claims option for 62-year-olds in 1956, and then expanded the same option to men in 1961. You'll have fewer checks a month, but money starts flowing faster. By the early 1960s, the system was running on 2 clean numbers, 62 early and 65 fully benefiting from what millions of Americans still believe is how it works today. This assumption is wrong. By the early 1980s, the Social Security Trust had deteriorated so badly that the program could barely mail checks on time. In response, President Reagan set up a bipartisan committee chaired by Alan Greenspan, whose report was published on January 20th, 1983. Just 3 months later, on April 20th, Reagan signed the 1983 Social Security Amendment into law. The legislation made immediate strides. Payroll tax growth accelerated. Up to 50% of benefits were taxed for the first time. And the package included a provision that would reshape the retirement life of every American born after 1937. Congress voted to gradually raise the retirement age from 65 to 67. This is the quiet part. The pace of entry has been slow. The full retirement age for those born in 1938 soared to 65 years and 2 months, compared with 66 for the generation born in 1943. Then the number of all births before 1954 froze at 66, then rose slightly again, 2 months a year, until the number of all births in 1960 or after reached 67. The first batch of people facing the 67-year-old requirement will not even be met until 2027. Which means that the retirement age increase passed 44 years ago is still being introduced in real time. That's what a quiet policy shift looks like without anyone paying attention. 2 years can sound small, from 65 to 67. The real financial shock tells a very different story. Each time the retirement age is raised, the penalty for filing in advance is higher. When 65 was targeted, filing a claim at 62 meant a 20% reduction in monthly benefits. Under the current full retirement age of 67, the same option will be cut by 30% at 62, and another 10 percentage points will permanently reduce your checks. Some members of Congress want to raise the retirement age to 69, in which case claiming 62 will reduce your benefits by about 40%. Raising the retirement age is not just punishment for those who plan to wait. It slashed benefits across the board for each applicant age group. Details were released in writing by the Republican Study Committee, the House's largest conservative caucus with more than 170 members. Their fiscal year 2025 budget, released in March 2024, called for raising the full retirement age to 69, for people born in 1978 or later, and linking it to life expectancy thereafter. They also proposed raising the age of early eligibility from 62 to 64, marking the first time in the program's history that it has reached the 62-year threshold. The RSC budget functions as a messaging document, not legislation that passes committee price increases or live votes, but it conveys the policy preferences of the vast majority of the House of Representatives. Senator Lindsey Graham reinforced that willingness in 2023 by publicly calling for a gradual increase in the age of young workers to 70, linked to life expectancy. Around the same time, Senators Bill Cassidy of Louisiana and Angus King, an independent senator from Maine, spent months studying the bipartisan Social Security framework. Before retiring from the Senate, Mitt Romney pushed for the Trust Act, which was supposed to create a bipartisan rescue committee with a fast-track mandate to enact solvency legislation designed to provide political cover for politicians scaring votes. None of these proposals became law, but the conversation points in one direction. What drives this conversation is arithmetic, which gets uglier every year. According to the 2024 Social Security Trustee Report, issued on May 6, 2024, the Consolidated Trust Fund is expected to face losses by 2035. By 2033, OASI trusts dedicated to retirement were even more vacant. If that happens, the incoming payroll tax would cover only about 83% of planned benefits, meaning that if Congress did nothing, each beneficiary's check would automatically be cut 17%. The demographics behind these numbers tell the whole story. As early as 1960, about 5.1 workers paid for each beneficiary who received the system. By 2024, the ratio had fallen to about 2.7 to 1 and is expected to fall further to 2.3 to 1 by mid-2030. People also receive benefits much longer than the system expects. In 1940, a 65-year-old man was expected to live 12.7 years longer. Today, the same person is expected to live nearly 17.18 years. The more retirees receive checks, the fewer workers provide them with funds. And the longer they retire, the smaller the balance. The system has never been designed for these ratios. Raising the retirement age may seem like a pipe dream, but the opposition is entrenched and based on hard data. Life expectancy growth in recent decades has been unevenly distributed among the population. Studies by the Brookings Institute and the National Academy of Sciences have found that these gains are concentrated in high-income Americans. For men born in the top fifth in 1960, life expectancy at age 50 was about 6 years or more longer than that of the bottom fifth. Low-income workers receive little, and in some cases their life expectancy has actually declined. When people think people live longer, so they should work longer, the obvious follow-up question is, who? Sitting behind a table, a 62-year-old former executive is a far cry from a 62-year-old construction worker with a damaged back and frayed knees. According to the Center for Retirement Research at Boston College, about 40% of workers, 58 and older, believe their work requires manual labor. Racial disparities further exacerbate the problem, as the average life expectancy of Black Americans is lower than that of white Americans, with an average life expectancy of about 73.8 years, rather than 78.4 years, according to the pre-COVID-19 Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, meaning they receive benefits at the same rate in a shorter period of time. The American Association of Retirees, AARP, with about 38 million members and enormous lobbying clout, has publicly opposed raising the retirement age, saying it is cutting benefits under a different name. In fact, you don't need to change the official retirement age to reduce someone's Social Security checks. The mechanics of embedding systems have been doing so for years, and most people don't know. Consider welfare taxes. The income threshold that triggered your Social Security tax, $25,000 for individuals and $32,000 for couples, was locked in 1983 and 1993. Congress has never adjusted inflation, or has it adjusted it once in more than 3 decades? As wages rise and more retirees cross those lines, real purchasing power is worthless. In the early 1980s, fewer than 10% of beneficiaries owed Social Security income taxes, up from 50% or more today. That amounts to a tax increase that Congress never voted for. Medicare premiums hit record highs. Part B premiums, which are deducted directly from Social Security deposits, soared from $4,380 a month in 2000 to $185 a month in 2025, accounting for a large proportion of the too little premiums that many retirees find each year. So whether Congress is quietly raising the Social Security retirement age depends entirely on what quiet means to you. In recent Congresses, no independent retirement age legislation has passed committee votes or reached a minimum number of votes. During the 2024 campaign, President Trump pledged not to cut Social Security benefits, including opposition to raising the retirement age. The Social Security Rights Act, signed on January 5, 2025, effectively backfired, expanding the benefits of about 2.5 million to 3 million public sector retirees by eliminating windfall elimination clauses and government pension offsets.